Imagine
A podcast.
where time drifts slowly,
A podcast.
where
Isaac.
carries you away.
So let me be clear. We tortured some folks.
If you don't like what we tell you to believe in, we'll kill you.
Hey, hi, hello, it's Isaac. You're listening to Coexist Inc. I was recently away from the city lights, and I got to see the stars, and I got to see the Milky Way. And it had been a long time since I'd seen this many stars. It's kind of wild that we don't get to see them anymore most nights, that they've taken away the heavens from us. And I'm embarrassed when I look out at the night sky. I don't know what the names of the constellations are. Is that Venus? Like, oh, Orion's Belt, I know that one. Oh, hell yeah, the Big Ass Dipper? Yeah, I see you. And I was trying to find the North Star. And I was like, oh, is that, it's that really bright one in the sky. And then I think I see it move a little bit. And I'm like, oh shit. Is that a satellite? Did I just confuse the North Star for a fucking Starlink? And I felt like I couldn't even trust the stars anymore. I couldn't tell if I was looking at the stars or instead if they were satellites looking at me. I hope I'm not becoming more paranoid. There are lots of good reasons to be paranoid today. I mean, they are watching us. The stars are watching us. But I don't want to become less trustful of the world and all of the things I see. I hope that I'm not being tricked by the powers that be into believing in things that aren't really there either. In other words, I hope I'm not becoming Paul Bennewitz. Who is Paul Bennewitz? Well, that's what today's episode is about. He is the subject of the book Saucers, Spooks, and Kooks by Adam Gorightly, which is now a documentary by Christopher Graybill. The late Paul Bennewitz was a PhD in physics, a businessman, and an engineer who lived in New Mexico near a military base. After seeing strange lights in the sky, he began recording and observing this phenomenon, and he caught the attention of the U.S. government. From there, a character named Richard Doty got involved, and long story short, Paul Bennewitz became a gang-stalked, targeted individual who was the subject of U.S. intelligence psychological manipulation. The vast amount of resources put into tricking Paul Bennewitz, who's a very smart man, into believing in a lot of UFO phenomena is horrible. What they did to this poor man was basically torture him mentally and physically, as the documentary and book points out, into a psychotic break where he was institutionalized. My fear is that these tactics that the U.S. government used back in the 1980s on Paul Bennewitz have been perfected and perhaps applied to us at scale through social media. The shit that the algorithm pushes on people who are susceptible is alarming. Paul Bennewitz was not a stupid man. I do wonder if he was particularly susceptible to these UFO conspiracies because of his kind of brilliance. I wonder how many of us are susceptible to this kind of psychological warfare that the powers that be are manipulating us with. This buddy of mine showed me some photos that were taken around 5 a.m. Here in Sarasota, Florida, of what was most likely some sort of either SpaceX or NASA launch. And I could not believe how terrifying it looked. And there were no announcements. I don't remember ever seeing some sort of warning being like, hey, everybody, don't freak out if what appears to you in the sky as some sort of cosmic apparition. It literally looked like a cosmic butthole to me at certain points. And I'll post the pictures on social media, and I'll put them in some of the show notes or whatever. You should take a look for them yourself. But they are unbelievable looking. It really looks like some sort of rift in the time-space continuum. And the shit that this must do to people, and I feel like they did it on purpose, that they didn't say anything, that they didn't say, hey, everybody, if you're going to see this like very early in the morning, very late at night, Please do not panic. Please do not freak out. This is just a spaceship, and these are the fucking probably incredibly toxic gases that we're releasing into the atmosphere. Real chemtrails, actually. But don't freak out. This is not an alien. This is not God tearing a hole in the sky and reaching down and starting the the apocalypse or something. I don't know. But it seems so irresponsible for them to do that. And I wonder if they're just like, there's those guys sitting behind some desk somewhere saying, yeah, let them freak out. Let them think that that's what it is, because that's what it looks like. So I'm joined by Adam and Chris to talk about Paul Bennewitz, to talk about the documentary, to talk about the modern state of ufology today and how different it is in the 2020s from when it was in its heyday in the 1990s. So if you have any interest in understanding the history of ufology and where we are today, there is no better starter kit than Saucers, Spooks, and Kooks, which you can go see for yourself on the internet at saucersspooksandkooks.vhx.tv. I will also put the link in the show notes. And of course, my usual plea for support for your boy. I know that I'm criticizing the algorithm and that we are all subject to its demonic ways, but let's use it for some good here. Let's push your boy out into the world. That means liking, subscribing, sharing the show, word of mouth. Let's get the good word out there and start to supplant the bad stuff out there, because it is a tool. They don't have complete control over it, and we can still use it for our means. The truth is out there.
Roswell.
Alien bodies, multiple crashed alien spaceships, a government cover-up.
Dulce Base.
It didn't matter what base it was. It was all the battle of underground bases, and the aliens are coming in, and all this really out there fringe areas.
This is such a crazy ass story. My God.
Paul Bennewitz was a scientist. He started noticing that there were lights doing strange things.
These things lit up like balls of bright light and just took off. Came up, went south, around the end of the mountains, gone. Who are they?
Yep. It's got to be aliens. We don't know what else it could be. We're going like, wow.
They decided to just encourage him with the outlandish ideas. One, because the only people that would listen would be crazy UFO people, and foreign agents.
Spooks or Kooks.
We got Richard Doty apparently purposely misleading Bennewitz and for whatever purposes, which could be counterintelligence to confuse Russians.
More, to me, he was completely sold on Bennewitz. And Bennewitz, at that point, had become the paranoid.
Man, it's like, what a gut punch. Everybody in that room, including Stan Friedman, had basically been played by Bill.
I guess these days it would be more like that New York Times article. It just comes out of nowhere and just bang. Somebody's making an effort to push it through in the way that people accept information.
And how they're using UFOs to potentially cover for an intelligence kind of gathering, psychological warfare. And it's such a great freaking cover story.
If someone like Paul Bennewitz is already there, you just let them do the work.
Have you ever seen an alien or a UFO or a UAP?
Go ahead, Chris. You started off.
Okay, well, I saw a weird thing in LA during COVID time. Is actually after I started making this movie. There was like a 747 that was coming out of a cloud, but then I started looking at it, and the cloud was like enveloping it as it was moving. And it was like, it was this magic cloud that was following, like covering the airplane. It was the weirdest thing I feel like I've seen. And so that's pretty anomalous. But other than that, not really too much outside of no aliens.
Well, I have two answers to that now that I think of it. course, when I was like 18 or 19 on LSD, I saw a bunch of quote unquote UFOs with a friend of mine.
Okay.
Whether those were UFOs, I've told this story quite a bit. If you want to hear it, I can
Yeah,
share it with
let's
you.
hear it.
Okay, this was 1978, and I was at a party with a friend of mine. We were good friends. We had wrote music together, had a simpatico of sorts, which I think is key to the story. So we were at this party, dropped some acid. The guy gave it to us, said, be careful, this is double dipped, whatever that meant. Meant it was pretty strong. And so the walls were kind of closing in on us. As a bit intense there at the party. So, let's go for a walk, get out of here. Um, so we were still kind of walking in suburbia. We decided to go to this levee or ditch bank that was away from houses somewhat. And before we even got there, I remarked to my friend, what if we saw a UFO right now? No one would believe us. And we started laughing somewhat uncontrollably. Then, like 15 minutes later, we saw our first UFO. It was so striking that I fell to one knee. And so we're describing what we saw over a period of about an hour. We saw 8 different UFOs, saucer shaped, cigar shaped, even some ridiculous cartoon looking thing with a multicolored propeller. And so we walked, I don't know, it's like a mile and a half or so, saw those. The last UFO we saw was like this comet that came down from the sky, then disappeared, and a UFO showed up, and that was the last one. So we turned around, went back, and when we got to the point where we saw the first UFO, we saw a beam come down from the sky that was projecting on the area where we were at. I don't know what that means exactly, but so that was the UFO experience, and so as we were seeing this stuff, we were describing it to each other. We were seeing the same thing, whether we were projecting those thoughts in our head somehow. We had that simpatico, or maybe some telepathic thing was going on there. In a nutshell, that's the story for my first quote unquote UFO sighting. And then probably in the mid 90s, I was driving out in the desert, California, where there's an air base out there, and I saw one of the famous Black Triangle aircraft right overhead as I was driving, kind of hovering there, almost motionless. That was, during that period, you had people reporting those black triangles. Art Bell famously reported one. So those are my 2 kind of UFO sightings.
Did they change the trajectory of your life at all, or were they just kind of just like, oh, it's like seeing a movie or something?
No, it totally got me more interested in weird subjects for sure. Psychedelic UFO encounter, and so that I would say it helped guide my trajectory.
I'm coming to UFOs and aliens much later in life. I'm even watching X-Files for the first time at the ripe old age of 38, and I absolutely love it. X-Files is so incredible. I can't believe it took me this long. I did the same thing with Sopranos, though. I didn't watch The Sopranos until like I don't know, 10 years ago for the first time.
I've never watched Sopranos, but I saw X-Files at the time.
That'll change your life too.
When they first came out, I remember the first episode was just fucking great. So I got hooked. I think the same thing with Chris. Isn't that right, Chris? You didn't watch the X-Files until recent years.
Yeah, I felt like I was a weirdo kid. I was like, this is alien propaganda. I'm not gonna watch that. So, this is a weirdo. So I didn't watch it until much later.
I remember it just the Simpsons preceded it on Fox.
All right, Homer. We want you to recreate your every move the night you saw this alien. Well, the evening began at the Gentlemen's Club, where we were discussing Wittgenstein over a game of backgammon.
Mr. Simpson, it's a felony to lie to the FBI.
We were sitting in Barney's car eating packets of mustard. You happy?
And then when The Simpsons was over, it was like, all right, I'm done. Like,
Spooky
there's
time.
nothing better than The Simpsons.
Now we're going to run a few tests. This is a simple lie detector. I'll ask you a few yes or no questions, and you just answer truthfully. Do you understand?
Yes.
But yeah, I saw an alien or a UFO when I was in high school, but it did nothing for me. And I still vividly remember it. And I remember I was sober, I think, and a buddy was next to me looking out at the water, and this green orb just kind of came out of the water 100 yards in front of us, hovered, and then just shot off into space. We both just looked at each other just to confirm we saw it. And we were like, yep. And then I didn't really go, and I was like, yeah, I guess, I don't know. What am I going to do? It's like,
You did nothing with that information.
no. But now I guess this was like in the mid-aughts when UFO culture wasn't really hot. It wasn't a conversation the way it is, especially right now, the way disclosure is on everyone's mind.
I'm sorry, what year was it again?
2005, I think.
Okay, sure, yeah. That was when the narrative had died down quite a bit.
So maybe had I saw it at a different time, it would have affected me differently. If I saw it now, I definitely would be like, Richard Doty's right around the fucking corner, isn't he? He's like fucking with me. But because disclosure and the Trump administration perennially threatening to release things, we're at a very interesting UFO time, which is the perfect time for your documentary to come out. Saucer, Spooks, and Kooks, which is based on Adam's great book. And I will say it is a must-watch for anyone who wants to understand what's really going on, which is, I don't know, would you guys call yourselves skeptics? Because it is kind of dispelling a lot of ufology, I'd say.
I'm pretty skeptical.
Yeah, I'd say I'm a skeptical. I don't know if I'd call myself a skeptic, though.
Right.
Okay. Well, not in like the Greek sense, like the philosophy, in like the literal sense, skeptic.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Or not like the hardcore skeptics, if you know type I'm talking about, that are just negative on everything.
Right.
That even hints at woo-woo.
Right.
You gotta believe in something. You absolutely have to believe in something at some point.
Yeah, I think it's pretty crucial to the human experience to believe in stuff, right?
Yeah, what's the point otherwise, right?
Sure, yeah.
A song just came into my head.
What song is that?
It was something Crosby, Stills, and Nash, Stephen Stills composition. You gotta believe in something, no matter where you are. Anyway.
Well, thank you. I always like intro songs that have something to do with what we're talking about. So you've done me a great service, not wasting hours doing that.
I'll give you the title before we're done here. Okay. It's a cool song.
Well, Adam, let's start with you because this is based on your book. How did this come about? And if you wouldn't mind telling the listener who Paul Bennewitz is, because that is the central character.
Well, Paul Bennewitz, let's see if I can make this as short as possible because it goes on and on and on.
Oh, it does.
He was allegedly, according to certain sources, the victim of a government disinformation campaign. Basically because he was a civilian contractor, a scientist, physicist, worked on government contracts, and lived right outside of Kirtland Air Force Base, who he did business with, and he started seeing strange craft and picking up different signals and stuff. And there was a lot of, during that period, probably still going on today, they had at Kirtland, they had Sandia Labs, and they were doing a lot of secret development. That was during the period of the stealth bomber development, and there's also spy satellites there, early days of non-lethal type stuff, all of which which kind of showed up in the Benowitz affair when he started filming and photographing, picking up these signals, starting to think they were aliens, took him to security officials there at the base. He was alarmed because this was a super secret facility at that time. There was an underground facility in the area of Monsanto Mountain where he was seeing these UFOs, and at the time, according to reporting, it was like one of the biggest storehouse for nuclear armament. So he was concerned this was a national security problem, and so he started communicating with security officials there. That's where Richard Doty came into the story and the start of this disinformation campaign to make him believe that what he was seeing were ETs as opposed to the secret craft they were testing, and the signals he was picking up with actually the ETs trying to communicate. All of this was to ultimately try to discredit him, and let's stop there. That's kind of it in a nutshell. Eventually, he went crackers, and his family committed him to a mental health facility for a period of time.
Yeah, I think the story of Paul Benowitz and Richard Doty is so important to tell because Paul Benowitz was he was a PhD, right? I mean, he was a brilliant, brilliant man.
Yeah, he was one of those guys with a doctor in front of his name for sure. Yeah, and he was kind of like oh man, he almost comes across like a mad scientist type guy. All the gizmos and stuff he was developing to capture these alien beams and creating devices. Even in some of his papers, he was developing some type of ray gun to ward off the bad aliens.
I want to get my hands on that thing. I know.
Oh, it's Project Beta. I can get it to you.
I mean, I want to get my hands on the actual gun, is what I mean.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if there's blueprints in there. You'd probably have to.
I find him so interesting because either he is a warning to all of us that anyone can be tricked if enough resources are allotted by the government to convince you that something is real.
And if you want to believe too.
And that's the other thing too, is like maybe I can't tell if it's like his mad scientist-ness made him more susceptible to this kind of gang stalking trickery, whereas someone who's like kind of dumb like me would just be like, oh, I don't care. Like, I'm gonna watch sports. All right, you guys leave me alone. So I can't tell if it's like a cautionary tale to everyone in this country that your government, if it so chooses, will try to convince you of something, or do you have to be of a certain mindset to be convinced?
There's probably some, excuse me, Chris, there's probably some type of predisposition there and people who go off the deep end, but a lot of us are susceptible to that. Take it away, Chris.
No, I was just going to say, like astronauts and, really accomplished people that are not stupid. What's the astronaut that started his foundation because he saw an alien on the moon? I can't think of his name right now.
His name escapes me too, yeah.
But yeah, it just because you have like a PhD doesn't mean you can't get to it, right?
Do you think that the government could trick you guys?
Absolutely.
Do you think it already has?
They might already have. Yeah.
And so I wonder then too, is if the government is going to, I mean, granted, they spent an incredible amount of resources to basically torture Paul Benowitz into a mental institution, which is like what Richard Doty did to me is you go to hell for shit like that. That is just so cruel to do to another person.
I don't know the amount of resources. It's really unclear how much of a rogue agent Doty was in a lot of these shenanigans.
But I mean, he's definitely, tilting the scales toward that side of things, kind of pushing him, Benowitz, in the right direction.
Yeah, Benowitz, I mean, prior to the start of the Benowitz affair, which I guess you could say was December of 79, for several years, though, he was already into the UFO field. He was a member of APRO, Aerial Phenomena Research Organization, UFO group, and he was out when the cattle mutilations were going on. He was out looking into those with Gabe Valdez. So he already had a background for a few years having a deep interest in these subjects.
I wonder then I read your book and I watched the documentary, which I got to say the documentary is great for people whose attention spans have been ruined by Twitter. I certainly got through the story a lot faster than when I read the book. I couldn't help but think about the ways that these tactics that were used on Benowitz maybe have been applied at scale to the population. And I even thought about with all the 9/11 truthers, have some of the 9/11 truthers also been fucked with to this extent that the government was I mean, Alex Jones doesn't count, right? Because he's kind of a willing participant in this game of shit coding. But in the case of other serious researchers or people who have been looking at Epstein right now, and the information that they're kind of given, do you think that the government learned from its torturing and trickery and gang stalking of Paul Benowitz and has applied it at scale for basically every event since? That's a big question, but I know it's very speculative. But
what do you think, Chris?
Well, I was really skeptical of gang stalking for a long time. Vice did that documentary about it, and I don't know. But then I started getting into the Benowitz case more, and that book, Camelio, kind of documents a similar thing. And then, there's just these cases that will come up now and then where it kind of maybe seems like there is really something to it. And so it's very possible that, intelligence or whoever is doing this is taking notes and learning from it, sure. But it's hard to, speculate about or to know for sure.
I wonder though if they have some sort of AI version of Richard Doty that where they can target individuals, especially. I mean, I would never talk to ChatGPT, even when I have to deal with some company where I'm clearly dealing with some software chatbot. I tap out. I'm like, you guys win. I'm not gonna ask for my $50 back. You can have it. I'm not talking to a fucking computer. But it does feel like it could be done now at scale.
Oh, it's totally in the works, I think. Seems
I would
like
imagine
it for sure.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, as taking back, this is 40 years ago, so I don't know if it's really all planned out that much from Benowitz to now. It's more just kind of how they're going to operate anyway, it seems like.
When Chris first contacted me, he was talking to a bot.
Yeah. When I reached out to you to get a hold of, to pitch the film, I was talking to a chatbot who was acting like Adam in this weird generic way. And I had the whole conversation with him, and then Adam was like, "Oh, hey, that wasn't me." Well,
why did you get a lot of fan calls and you just don't want to deal with them?
No, I had set up a authors page on Facebook. I'd gotten off of Facebook at one point because I was just going to shit, but I thought I need an author page there, and it's more, when you do that, it's more set up like a business thing. They're trying to sell you stuff. And so I don't know if it's still doing this, but yeah, if I'd get, so I didn't visit, maybe I'd look at it once a week or forget about it for a month or whatever. And if you do that, people would contact and that chat bot would come up and start conversing with whoever was reaching out to me in a DM.
And Chris, you got tricked? You're like, this is.
I totally got bamboozled. Yeah.
Well,
I thought it was
expecting that?
strange. I did think it was strange. Like, this guy's kind of weird. He's very computer-like.
He's very prompt. He keeps getting back to me like right away.
Yeah.
He must not have a life.
Yeah, that's true. It was almost immediately.
The other thing that I think is going on in this current iteration of ufology is you have a much different demographic who is involved. I think you guys are more of like the old school ufologists compared to the. How would you describe the modern ufologists compared to like the heyday of the 90s?
Oh man. Yeah, Adam, you should take that.
Well, first of all, they don't seem that really interested in ETs at the moment. It's more because there's really no discussion about the ETs. It just turned into UAPs. Behind that, yeah, there must be ETs, but there's really no talk about who they are. Whereas back in the old school days, that's what it was all about, especially, going back to the 50s or whatever. Every UFO contactee had some special entity from Venus or whatever named Orthon. And so there's none of that. Now, there is some talk, in Congress, you've had these people who've pushing the new narrative that kind of touched on crash retrievals, like those are a new thing, and the Roswell crash and that type of stuff. But it's that same process of whoever's directing that narrative, bringing out the same stories and repurposing them again. And yeah, so what are these new guys like? That 2017 story in the New York Times brought in this new generation of people following, the Blue Elizondo, and it's tied in with To the Stars Academy, that they were going to blow the whistle on what the government's been hiding, but the agenda behind that. Well, you don't need to go there, but so a lot of these new breed, call them the UAP researchers, really had no knowledge or interest in the past history of ufology, which is kind of key, I think, to interpreting new events as they unfold.
Yeah, and I think even the UAP, the rebranding of UFOs kind of like separates it from that old past, and so they can start fresh with this UAP story. So,
did you know that I went to the same high school as Lou Elizondo?
Oh, weird. Where was that?
Sarasota. He went to Riverview High School.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not the same age, but
yeah.
And his father worked at the Colony Club, which is where George W. Bush stayed before 9/11 when he visited my school where I was on 9/11.
Wow.
I know.
Oh my God. What the hell? Really?
There was according to Daniel Hopsicker, the late great Daniel Hopsicker, there was a attempt on George W. Bush's life at the Colony Club while Lou Elizondo worked there, or his father.
Whoa.
It's pretty weird.
There you go.
Very weird.
But yeah, you were saying, yeah, I didn't think of it that way, but the current version of UFO culture is very tech focused. It's not like the alien anthropology and the great art. Like, it was so much more creative back then, and somehow like less sinister. It feels like there's something about the tech heavy focus of ufology today that I find uninteresting.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody pointed out to me recent interview I did that, yeah, all the imagery and stuff they're using for UAP is really, they're into the AI stuff.
Yeah.
As opposed to, what you'd find in our film.
Yeah, no, aesthetically, some of the drawings that I haven't seen in a while that you guys pulled up in the doc, I was like, oh, this was so much fun. It's like, what a great aesthetic that just fits a particular time,
Yeah, I really love that time for UFOs.
It's so much fun. We gotta bring it back. I gotta make some fun alien merch from back in the day.
Yeah, but now it does seem like very chloroseptic somehow with all the tech, and then even the videos, like Jeremy Corbell carted out this one where it looks like a gelatinous balloon or something floating behind some clouds, and it could very well just be like a AI generated video. So who knows?
And that's the other thing too that I guess makes it different is just how much more easily tricked people can be to see something. I think the other thing that's interesting is that, and I saw this just the other day, my buddy, whose friend is a cop, showed me videos of a launch they did just the other night it's funny, they don't like announce it. They don't let people know, hey, there's going to be something utterly fucking crazy looking in the sky. And he showed me the pictures and I was like, holy shit, that is nuts. It looked like a cosmic butthole. Like I cannot, and then the colors were just unbelievable, and I could just see any regular guy who's like they don't read the news or no one's telling them that you see this shit, you might fucking panic. And I'm sure it was some SpaceX bullshit because we get that all the time now. But it was really bonkers looking.
Wow, I want to see it.
I'll tell my buddy to send me the picture and I'll send it to you guys. It was when I saw it, I was like, yeah, that's like a lot. I could definitely see how. I mean, it's
probably polluting the shit out of the atmosphere, but it looks cool.
Yeah. Well, we already have my congressman, Greg Stubbe, who fell off of a ladder and hit his head like last year, and he's still in Congress. He keeps tweeting about chemtrails. He took a video, and he's just like, there are some chemtrails in the sky, and he's like, ridiculous. It's illegal to have chemtrails in Florida now. You could call the cops and be like, hey, tell them to stop it.
I've heard they've been passing laws in different Florida, Texas.
Man. How do you legislate? How do you enforce such a thing?
Right.
You don't.
Jesus.
But I also have some questions for you guys from one of my favorite UFO accounts on Twitter, Cosmic Faux Pas. I don't know if you guys ever come across his work. He makes great videos making fun of Lou Elizondo in particular. And Adam, he's a big fan of yours.
Okay, I might have seen him in the past. I'm not on Twitter anymore because
good for evil. You. Yeah, I know. but we don't get to communicate with Cosmic Faux Pas otherwise. So he wants to ask you, what do you make of the anti-science far-right religious lawmakers taking over the conversation around UFOs? Is it political theater, fundraising tactics, or something else?
Well, I guess he's talking about Burchett and Luna and those characters.
Seems
like trying to. Tucker's doing this too by saying aliens are.
Oh, okay, yeah, they're using it for their own various agendas. There's an audience that gravitates to that subject, So Tucker Carlson's did different stuff on cattle mutilation.
It's my personal belief, based on a fair amount of evidence, that they're not aliens. They've always been here, and I do think it's spiritual. That's my view. So, and again, it's not provable, but based on the evidence, I think
I'm with you.
Absolutely. If the U.S. government has in fact had direct contact with these beings, whatever they are, I've already told you what I think they are, and has entered into some sort of agreement with them, which is the claim of informed people, I would say. Whether they're right or wrong, I can't say conclusively. But if that is true, I mean, it's a very, very, very heavy thing.
Yeah. A lot of people say interdimensional beings.
Right. I want to ask, are angels and demons, or how would you describe these beings?
these are, again, I'm getting into the realm of conjecture, so I just want to say that flat out.
Entity.
But one thing I know for a dead certain fact, having seen it, is that there is good and evil, that we are being acted upon at all times. And I think every person can feel that in himself. I mean, there are moments when you are moved to do things that are much better than you actually are, and that are also more evil and destructive than you actually are. You are subject to forces from outside yourself. That is absolutely true. Now, we can argue about what they are, but every person in the room, if he's reflective, will tell you, yes, I know what you're talking about. And so there are forces that are not human, that do exist in a spiritual realm of some kind, that we cannot see, and that when you think about it, sort of make you think we live in an ant farm.
Yeah.
Being right? And that's
Absolutely.
just, that is real.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's many.
And UFOs. So a lot of the far right networks, or those networks seem to gravitate to this because there's an audience there. As far as people in Congress, it's just partly their own branding, the clickbait material. And then, there's another element here coming from within the government, when there's this announcement Trump was going to release the alien files, which is
They should call it X-Files, man. What a missed opportunity right there. That would have been, yeah.
Let me go back to that X-Files in a minute. But so it seems like Obama came out and he had that interview. He mentioned this stuff. The next day, Trump has to do something each day, narcissist that he is, to stay in the camera. So that conversation started about we're releasing the alien files in 2 weeks or whenever. Then, but you also hear these conversations. Maybe this is just more manipulation, that there's people inside the government that are concerned about the demonic interdimensional aspects of the phenomena. I don't think I've answered the question, but
I think they're probably using it to get votes, or get some popularity behind them. I mean, it can be used for that for sure.
Hey, I was going to mention that's where the X-Files, that name came from. That during the late 40s, when the modern age of UFOs started with Kenneth Arnold, and there was this UFO flap for a couple weeks that led into the whole Roswell thing. Back all those old files, that's what they were calling it, Project X. And so that's where the X-Files name came from, if you weren't aware of that.
Did not know.
Do you think Elon Musk's a fan of the X-Files? Is that why he became obsessed with X? And maybe wanted everything to be called X?
That's a great theory.
Could be. He's a big science fiction fan.
I don't think he's cool enough to appreciate the X-Files.
No, he doesn't. It's like
he likes Doctor Who or something stupid,
Grok is from Stranger in a Strangeland by Robert
Heinlein. Sure.
So maybe. But Elon's always been kind of dismissive of alien stuff, but he also can't take any fucking thing that guy says seriously.
Right. If he's using that much ketamine, you're probably seeing some type of entities.
I do wonder what his apparently introspection's a recent invention, so maybe he doesn't experience that either. But John C. Lilly, he's got to go in the sensory deprivation tank and he's got to inject it, right? I mean, he's got to go. He's got to go hard in order to talk to other aliens.
Well, talking to dolphins, that guy.
I interviewed the guy who had sex with the dolphin, Malcolm Brenner. Who also was a ufologist briefly, I think, out in New Mexico. He ran some magazine. I can't remember what it was called. But yeah, he wrote a novel about it too. But yeah, he made a pretty convincing case that he consensually had sex with the dolphin when I went over his house.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, you went to his house.
He had a dog, which made me very uncomfortable.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
This is also the kind of follow-up question from Cosmic Faux Pas. And maybe that kind of answers the question of why the right feels the need to address or enter ufology discourse. He says that after being in the UFO culture as long as you have, were you surprised to see UFO hysteria explode after COVID? So maybe COVID has something to do with this new iteration of ufology.
Yeah, I think so. Once again, it's that if you want to call it an audience, they are really tuned into, especially with COVID going on, and there's all these people are in lockdown and they're pissed off and they're not having human interactions and stuff, and it becomes talk of this government conspiracy basically to, I don't know, break us and bring in the new world order. And so there's all this suspicion of government. It's always been there for a lot of people who get become, what's the word? Intertwined with different conspiracies and such, that there's this distrust in the government. Not to say there's not a reason to distrust it, but yeah, it was like the perfect storm. All these things kind of interweave together. A term called fusion paranoia. You have people on either side of the spectrum coming together in the middle, questioning these things, and it all becomes part of this deep state conspiracy, that all these things are intertwined, the elite cabal of pedophiles and those who want to keep that covered up as far and UFOs and on and on and on. So yeah, I think COVID broke a lot of brains.
Yeah, I also feel like aliens and UFOs is such a great narrative deus ex machina. If you have to fill in any gaps that like defy the laws of physics or can't be, it's just like aliens. Like that's a pretty easy.
Obviously, yeah.
Duh.
And there are all this thing they say that conspiracies theories help give easy answers to a complex planet, and a world.
Well, that's conspiracies in general, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's like puts an easy narrative to really complex, people and events and
just blame my people. Just blame the Jews. All right. It's just it just makes it easier. I understand.
For thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah. Like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right.
Well, that's even in ufology with.
Oh, big time.
Jew stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Anti-Semitic stuff.
I mean, the reptilian conspiracy, it's more of the story was that Dulce Base and these secret facilities, there was an alien race running the show, and they needed the precious bodily fluids of human children. It's the kind of the blood libel thing. And so you have people kind of attached to that, like David Icke and his reptilians. This is a bloodline of the Illuminati, which, as you can connect that to John Birch Society and the International Jewish Banking Conspiracy. Bill Cooper, I think, kind of helped promote this stuff. He had drawings of aliens he saw that had big noses, so there's that underlying element there for sure.
Yeah.
In all of this.
Yeah, it's been Jews' fault for tens of millions of years, actually.
Sure.
Is Fox Mulder kind of based on Paul Bennewitz in some way, you think? Because I feel like when I watch the X-Files, I'm like, are they just fucking with Fox Mulder? Is this just one giant fucking gang stalking of Fox Mulder? That's how it feels to me. I haven't finished it yet, so it does feel like they are targeting him.
Yeah, that overarching storyline there is, yeah, it very well could be, even if it's not. Let's just go with that.
Yeah, I'd never really given that much thought.
Yes. I got a good question. Are you nervous about the rebooting of X-Files with Ryan Coogler?
I hadn't even really not aware of that.
Yeah, the same director of Black Panther and I think Fruitvale Station and most recently Sinners, which it sucked. Like I thought it was such a terrible movie. I cannot believe people liked it.
I probably won't even watch it unless somehow I stumble upon it. If I tune into something that doesn't capture my imagination in 5 or 10 minutes, I'm done.
Right. What did you guys think about the one battle after another? Did you see it?
Yeah,
I thought it was all right. I watched it all. So.
Yeah, I liked it.
I liked it a lot, and then I watched it again on an airplane, and I was like, I liked it even more somehow. I think it's one of those movies that's very, very rewatchable, and that's usually a sign of a good film. Even if I know politically it's not quite perfect, and it's no Eddington. Let's put it that way.
Oh yeah, that was pretty good too. Eddington. I don't watch a lot of movies, but I saw those two.
The pacing is such a same thing with when I love it when I write a story and it's like 6,000 words and someone just feels like it was like they blew by it like it was just 1,000, and I'm like, that's a good sign. If you can really just move through something, if the pacing is great, which I will say your documentary, very well paced, excellent job, guys.
Great.
It's just a little more than an hour and a half. I think it's an hour and 44 minutes. But it moves so nice, and there's a lot of characters, but you guys don't get too hung up on the many fractaling narratives around all these things.
Right. Yeah, we did. We just didn't cut them into the film.
So your editor did a great job, whoever did that.
But yeah, thank you. It was fun to make and fun to figure out that story with Adam for the book, or from the book.
Yeah, it wasn't easy.
No,
took some time.
Well, it really shows. And if whoever's listening to this, what's the website people can go to watch the film online?
Saucers, Spooks, and Kooks.vhx.tv.
I will also put the links in the show notes so that everyone can just click on it and put it through socials and all the good stuff there. Is there anything else you guys want to say about the film? Anything else you guys want to tell people that what you hope they get out of it? Any messages of hope for a very hopeless time it feels like we're in?
I do want to say, because I listened to you and Rob talk about the Havana syndrome, and that kind of crops up in the film a little, and I just wanted to say I'm keeping agnostic about it. That I'm not quite sure that it's fake, and I'm not quite sure that it's real. I don't know.
I guess that's hopeful. Adam?
Let's see. Well, you weren't asking about the Havana syndrome. You had another question before that. Message of hope?
Well, mostly what you wanted people to get out of the film, the story itself, what you hope they come away with, and if you do have a message of hope that comes through the story that you've told, what would it be?
I hope they buy the film.
No, just look at that. Look at the case. Look at Paul Bennewitz. See how he was fooled, and learn from that and apply that to what's happening all around you on the internet. That would be the best lesson to take away from it, I think.
And yeah, look at the UFO history, and these reoccurring patterns.
Well, fellas, thank you so much for being on the show. And if some more alien stuff pops up in the future, which I know it will, I mean, we might have a real life Project Bluebeam pretty soon.
All right.
Hit me up. Love to have you back on.
Thanks.
Cool, thanks. The song I was thinking of, check it out. I think it's cool. It's I Give You, Give Blind by Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
You gotta believe in something. If you don't, you will be lost. You gotta believe